Tectonic plates or biblical flood? Rewriting Earth's history. So, we've all been told since middle school that the Earth's crust is made up of these magical giant plates that just float around, bumping into each other and making mountains, earthquakes, and volcanoes. Seems legit, right? After all, if we're taught something over and over again, it must be true. Well, what if I told you that tectonic plates might just be a convenient bedtime story for geologists? Hold on to your seismographs, because today we're going to explore the wild possibility that the Earth wasn't shaped by these slow-moving plates, but by something far more dramatic. A colossal, world-spanning tsunami caused by, wait for it, a meteor. Yep, we're going there. Meet Alfred Wegener, the guy who looked at a map one day, noticed that Africa and South America were basically puzzle pieces and thought, maybe they used to be connected. No one else had considered that before, except, literally everyone who's ever looked at a map. Wegener called his theory continental drift, but people were like, nah, Alfred, we need more than a hunch and some funky fossils to back this up. Fast forward to the 1960s. Along comes Harry Hess, who found out that the seafloor was spreading, not because it ate too much, but because of science. Hess said, hey guys, I know what's going on. New oceanic crust is pushing the continents apart. Boom. Tectonic plate theory was born. And just like that, every earthquake, every volcano, every mountain range was suddenly a tectonic plate problem. It's basically the geological version of blaming everything on Mercury being in retrograde. Now, here's the fun part. Despite the fancy diagrams and endless lectures in geology class, no one has ever actually seen one of these tectonic plates. Yep, it's a bit like the Loch Ness Monster. Lots of believers, no solid proof. Oh sure, we've got some indirect clues, like volcanoes and earthquakes, but for all the billions of dollars we've thrown at trying to prove the plates exist, the evidence is more elusive than Bigfoot at a family reunion. Plus, there are all sorts of things that don't quite add up. Earthquakes happening in places where there are no plate boundaries. It's like tectonic plates are playing a giant prank on us, moving when no one's looking. But wait, folks, there's an alternative explanation that's much more fun, and honestly, a lot more exciting. Enter the Book of Daniel, where we find the story of a meteor not thrown by human hands. Because why would we be throwing meteors anyway? Smashing into the North Pole and causing a wave so big it made the last 5 disaster movies look like kiddie pools. This wave was epic. We're talking about a tsunami that covered the whole planet, washing cities, dirt, and whatever unfortunate creatures were in the way into one massive mud flood. Picture it. Entire civilizations just swept away like someone pulling a muddy rug out from under them. This flood pushed up the Himalayas and formed Mount Everest. Those little mounds that have baffled geologists for years. Forget about slow, boring tectonic shifts. This wave did all the work in the geological equivalent of a single afternoon. So, what do we actually see when we look at the Earth? not plates drifting around like lazy tectonic frisbees, but the results of an absolutely massive wave event. Just take a look at the Sandwich Islands. No, not the kind you eat. These are the ones in the middle of the Atlantic that just happen to look like they were formed by a huge mound of mud left behind by a receding wave. Oh, and remember how South America used to be cozy with Antarctica? Well, ancient maps show that there was just a small channel between them until, surprise, surprise, the big wave came crashing through and ripped them apart like two X's in a custody battle. The mud that got left behind, that's the Sandwich Islands, folks. Now let's talk about the Pacific Ring of Fire, which we're told is all about tectonic plates having a heated argument. But what if, instead of mysterious, invisible plates causing all this volcanic and seismic activity, it's just the remnants of the Great Flood doing what mud does, settling, cracking, and occasionally letting out a little steam. It makes more sense, doesn't it? A huge wave pushed down all that mud, creating earthquakes in places like the San Andreas Fault, because that's what happens when continents are thicker than oceanic crust. Earthquakes instead of volcanoes. Boom. Simple. Then there's Japan, the overachiever of the Pacific. It's got both earthquakes and volcanoes. Because when you're an island caught in the aftermath of a massive mudslide and surrounded by hot lava, why settle for just one disaster? But wait, there's more. The evidence of this mud flood is everywhere. Take the Himalayas. Not a collision of tectonic plates, but a pileup of dirt and debris from that same tsunami. And it didn't stop there. Ancient maps and satellite data show mud flows stretching all the way from Turkey to Southeast Asia. Think of it as the Earth's very messy version of spring cleaning. But instead of dust, it's mountains. So, what do you think? Are we going to stick with the old tectonic plate story, a theory based on invisible plates that no one's actually seen? Or does the idea of a global tsunami that reshaped the world in days make more sense? After all, we've got ancient texts, satellite images, and a solid mud flood theory that explains way more than tectonic plates ever could. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Geologists have been getting it wrong for years, and who doesn't love a good plot twist? If you like this video and enjoy questioning everything you've been told about the Earth, hit that like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Tectonic plates or biblical flood? What's your take? And if you want more deep dives into Earth's unsolved mysteries, you know where to find us.